what she thinks is that the Seattle Seahawks, as good of a story as Geno Smith has been, it's kind of fallen off a little bit over these last few weeks.
Welcome back, everybody, for another episode of Mock the Mock, looking at a recent 2023 NFL mock draft by normally one of our TDN scouts, but we are joined by somebody. Finally, I've got somebody on the show that participates in fantasy football leagues. The CEO of the Draft Network, Jaime Eisner, and the staff writers had their mock draft over here at the Draft Network, and we've got some trades in this one. Jaime, how you doing today, man?
Doing good. We started to shake things up a little bit over this holiday weekend mock draft and added some trades to the mix that I'm really excited to talk about because they've got some very interesting fantasy implications.
Well, let's talk about it, Jaime, because right now we kind of talked about it privately behind the scenes over in our Discord. Please join the premium Discord. There's a link in the description to get in there. You don't want to miss the conversations that we have over there. But just about the state of the quarterback position in the NFL in general, not very good. And as I look at your mock, you've got the Houston Texans right now sitting to currently have the number one overall pick, selecting C.J. Stroud at 101 in your mock, followed by Bryce Young being selected at 3, Will Levis at 4, and those are your top 3 quarterbacks all going in the top 10. So let's just talk about, from a fantasy perspective, what C.J. Stroud in Houston means. Do you personally like this fit? Do you think another quarterback would be better? Or are you trying to get into the state of what you believe the Houston Texans organization is going to do? And what would that mean for us in superflex formats with C.J. Stroud in Houston?
Yeah, I'm trying to get into the mind of Nick Caserio here a few months ahead of the draft and trying to figure out, I've kind of come to terms where they need to take a quarterback. Maybe they're ready, maybe they're not, but I don't think they can pass up on this opportunity. So the question is who might they take? And you look at Caserio's background in the New England system and all the kind of players they took there and the quarterbacks they tended to favor in that era. And I went with the more prototypical quarterback build in C.J. Stroud. And, I actually think it is a decent situation for him to be productive for fantasy purposes as your QB2 or super flex right away. You think about maybe Brandon Cooks is there, maybe he's not. But we've seen Nico Collins, when healthy, has some success. We all hope John Mechie III will come back fully healthy and ready to play next year after battling cancer. So it, to me, is something that Brevin Jordan is a guy that is ascending. You've got Dameon Pierce in the backfield. So it's something that I'm really excited about to see him be in that system. Not a top 12 QB for next year by any means, and probably not the first overall pick, even in a super flex dynasty redraft or dynasty rookie draft, but somebody that I think can be productive for you right away in that second QB spot.
All right, we're going to play a little game of Would You Rather here in a second, but let's talk about Bryce Young to Seattle, number 3 overall. They've got Geno Smith. There's some question marks. Do they extend him? I think they probably give him a short-term deal, but in this scenario, if they draft Bryce Young, and NFL free agency is before the NFL draft, so I don't know if they have to make the decision on Geno before they draft Bryce Young or would it impact it at all. But just talk to me about the fit of Bryce Young in Seattle with those 2 young bookend tackles, the weapons on the outside, Kenneth Walker. Talk to me about it.
Well, we got a special guest, as you can see here on this. This is Starfire, and what she thinks is that the Seattle Seahawks, as good of a story as Geno Smith has been, it's kind of fallen off a little bit over these last few weeks. And that doesn't mean he's not capable of being one of the 32 best quarterbacks in the NFL. But if you're Pete Carroll and you're Seattle and you're John Schneider and you're looking for that quarterback of the future, you have been gifted a tremendous opportunity here by that Russell Wilson trade to find that quarterback of the future. And to me, I think Bryce Young is my personal QB1. And if we're worried about size, well, Pete Carroll's had success with quarterbacks under 6 feet before. So I don't think he's going to be shy away from that. I think he's going to love the intelligence, the playmaking, the accuracy of it. And you can insert Bryce Young into the lineup either right away or after a few weeks if you happen to bring back Geno Smith and still be a playoff wild card caliber team. So I think this would be a great fit. For fantasy purposes, look, you walked into a situation with a really exciting running back, 2 really good wide receivers. This is really a strong situation for them to have success as pretty much probably a high floor, low ceiling option in year 1. Again, somebody else that I'm not taking in the top 12 or 15, but as a QB2, as a super flex, middle of the round 1 in a rookie redraft league, This is somebody that I would like to fit there because he has some weapons around him already.
Well, let's talk about Will Levis. You have the Carolina Panthers trading with the Arizona Cardinals.
Yep.
Carolina received this pick, number 4 overall, to draft Will Levis. Arizona got back the number 8 overall pick, a 2023 second rounder, and a 4th rounder in this scenario. So let's talk about Will Levis in Carolina, where there's still a chance for Carolina to win the NFC South, being a sub 500 team. But just talk about in this scenario, Will Levis, because in fantasy, Jamie, we've seen those Konami code quarterbacks and how valuable they can be, even if they're not prolific throwers of the football, their ability to run. And I believe this is the first one of the quarterbacks that has that ability to truly use his legs as a weapon. Now, I don't know about Carolina, but just talk to us about Will Levis, this is the quarterback where I look across social media and dynasty gamers just don't want him. They just don't want to like Will Levis no matter what. They reference the completion percentage, all these things. But number 4 overall, it's hard to ignore a quarterback like this going early in rookie drafts if he gets this type of capital.
Yeah, all indications are that the league itself is going to like Will Levis more than fans, media, and fantasy players. But this is the first real wild card because if you look at the potential upside for Will Levis, if he puts all of the puzzle pieces together, it would not be a shock if he's the best quarterback in this class. But as is right now, there's a lot of work to be done. And he did not have a strong final season at Kentucky. We wait to see how he does the pre-draft process. Does he go to the Senior Bowl? Does he throw there? How does he test? All of that to come up. But if he goes top 5, if he goes this high, and in this scenario I have Carolina trading up to get him, that means they're going to play him, and they're going to play him right away. And if they keep DJ Moore, we've seen the emergence of Terrace Marshall a bit, they add some other weapons to this team, it's going to be intriguing. Now, it's probably going to be a wild ride in year 1. But if you're in Dynasty, it's not just about year 1. It's about the long-term upside. And he has long-term upside to be a true QB1 for you down the road if he puts it all together, or he could bust out. So to me, if I'm in the middle of round 1, this is a guy that I'm going to take a chance on. Unless, again, if you're a team that's looking for a 3rd quarterback or a 4th quarterback on your roster, he's absolutely worth the flyer. If you need somebody that hey, I need somebody to start for me, whether it's retirements or weird things that might have happened at the end of the year, I need a super flex that plays for me right away, probably would not make this the pick. But there's no doubt that he's got the highest ceiling of anybody in this class, but at the top of the draft, but he probably has the lowest floor of any of the potential QB1s to go in the first round.
All right, Jamie. So at number 9, and for those of you who may be watching this for the first time, we're only looking at the offensive players, skill position players from a fantasy perspective. So this is the first pick that I just have to say, Jamie, I hate it, but you nailed it in the first line of your write-up. The Las Vegas Raiders at 9 overall, taking running back Bijan Robinson out of the University of Texas. And I quote, Mike Mayock and John Gruden may be gone, but the Raiders are still the Raiders. And this is one as an adopted Raiders fan. I'm just like, just give Josh Jacobs, just pay Jacobs. Like, why this? I just don't like it, Jamie, but I can see it happening. So my question to you is, and we're not going to debate the merit of Bijan Robinson. He's RB1. He's phenomenal. Yeah. Right now, he is universally viewed as just the 101 in all formats. Single quarterback, no doubt. We're not even worried about quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Super flex, I just want to challenge you with this one. If Detroit, which I don't think they will, but if they take Anthony Richardson or Will Levis, I've asked a couple of people, I think that's the honeypot landing spot for quarterbacks. They've got the infrastructure, they've got the line, they've got the weapons. Can any of these quarterbacks with an optimal landing spot challenge Bijan Robinson in Superflex for the 101? And I just referenced back to 2020 where we had Jonathan Taylor. We knew he was going to be a stud. But I look back and I'm like, man, Joe Burrow was absolutely the right pick at 101. Yeah. Justin Herbert. In hindsight, nobody was taking Herbert that high, but I just want the quarterback, right, over the running back long term. Is there any world in which you think a quarterback can usurp Bijan Robinson to be 101 in Superflex?
I think it's possible, but I'm probably not going to be the one to do it. And it's more so that I don't love any of these quarterbacks, to even the level of where we like some of these other guys. And now I know, and this is not retrospect, I know that the Herbert versus Tua debate was ridiculous at the time and it was crazy and it still is there today. But I think where these quarterbacks would rank would be behind Burrow, behind Herbert, behind what we thought of Tua coming out. So I'm not sure that they're of the level of play. To your point, landing in Detroit would be the most intriguing option. If one of those players does, it's not going to be the QB that goes 1-1 to Houston. That takes him off the board. But it's tough to pass on a talent like Bijan Robinson because it's not just the RB1 coming in. This is not just, Najee Harris is coming in or Travis Etienne is coming in. This is Saquon Barkley coming in. This is, Leonard Fournette coming in. This is Ezekiel Elliott, like that type of level, Todd Gurley. Like think about how we thought about those players when they got drafted inside the top 10 where they were. That's where Bijan Robinson is. So even in Superflex, I think I'm taking him there. And this is a good landing spot for him and for fantasy purposes. Even though the line isn't fantastic, we've seen what Josh Jacobs has been able to do this year. I think they probably let him walk in free agency. And if they do, this kind of opens the door for this very Raiders-like pick of Bijan Robinson. But I'm really not sure there's a landing spot for Bijan where I wouldn't take him 1-1. If he's healthy through the draft process, I can't see him not being 1-1.
Superflex doesn't matter. He's 1-1. The value is there.
Yeah, because to me, even if I need a quarterback, I'd rather take him 1-1 and open the trade market and see what I can get than I would to take a risk on any of these other guys. Just because I don't think any of them, like, again, aside from maybe Levis years down the road or Anthony Richardson years down the road, I don't see these guys being a true QB1 on your roster, no doubt. And like at that point, it goes, even though I need that super flex spot, am I going to take a guy that could potentially be an RB1 for me on my roster over that? I can't pass up on that opportunity. I'd take him and trade him before I would draft any of the other quarterbacks in my mind.
That's fair. And, I've been floating that out there because I think there's a case to be made, but there's no doubt. I mean, you're not even talking, Bijan's not even just an RB1 on your team. He could legitimately, we saw Ezekiel Elliott walk in and be RB1, Saquon Barkley be RB1. I think there's a
Najee, and he's way more talented than Najee. Yes. That's just quite frankly, and I'm not trying to knock Najee Harris, but from a pure talent perspective, Bijan is better. And Najee had the volume to come in right away as a rookie and be an RB1 caliber player. So that's why it's really tough for me because of the talent differential between where Bijan is among his peers versus where this quarterback class is among theirs.
Jeremy, let me just ask you your opinion. This wide receiver class in 2023, you look back at 2022, and honestly, man, throw a dart at a wall, and if you hit one of them not named Jalen Tolbert, you got a good player. Whether it's Jahan Dotson, Christian Watson, Jamison Williams, shown flashes coming back from the ACL, Garrett Wilson, Drake London, all of them are good. Just your overall thought on this class of wide receivers in 23.
It doesn't have the high-end talent that the last two had. I still like a lot of these players, and I think there's a lot of the guys that are going to go in the middle of the first in the real-life draft or in the second round that are going to be productive fantasy players. But we don't have a Garrett Wilson. We don't have a Chris Olave. We don't have a Jalen Waddle, a Jamar Chase, a Devonta Smith. Like these guys that I just mentioned would all be ranked above anybody in this class, even at the time, even if we're strictly just looking at what we thought about them coming in and nothing about the NFL production. But there's still players that I think you're going to like here. I think Quentin Johnson has a lot of I know you've talked about these on your videos a bunch about TCU wide receivers and the fantasy community being like, this hasn't worked out for me. But I think he's got the physical skill set and the traits to be a productive wide receiver for you. Even guys like Jackson Smith and Jigba, I think because of the injury, we have forgotten what he can provide as a safe wide receiver. Rashee Rice, Zay Flowers. I mean, there's a lot of these guys. Jordan Addison. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of these guys that I think are going to be productive, potentially even low-end wide receiver twos out of the gate for you. But we don't have a true wide receiver one. Like, I don't think any of these guys, at least as of now, project to be a guy that I think will be, we're going to rank these guys inside the top 15 anytime in the next couple years among wide receivers. But there's plenty of production to be had. And if you don't have an early pick in your rookie dynasty draft, I think you're okay kind of nabbing a couple of these guys if you have a snake format of saying, look, I know there's not a premier talent here, but I'm going to get productivity. And right now, almost everybody's playing wide receivers and flex spots over running backs anyway, just because of the volume of wide receiver talent around the league. I think these guys are going to be able to jump in and be productive right away, even if they're not going to be high-end superstars. Well,
you have the Houston Texans selecting Quentin Johnson, the wide receiver from TCU, at 11. I like the pick, and I like the pick, and I like the fit with C.J. Stroud. I still think, Jamie, and this was I still think gamers are going to struggle with TCU wide receivers. Josh Doxson and Jalen Reagor burned us so bad
Yeah.
Now the difference is Johnston is going to smash at the combine. He's going to be big. He's going to be fast. He's going to be a freak. Johnston at 11. I still think there will be debate in rookie drafts if he's the wide receiver 1, regardless, right? I think you're going to have.
Well, especially where your guy, your USC Trojan goes.
Yeah.
I mean, if he, and I know I'm jumping ahead here, but I have him going to the Chargers.
Yep.
Let's be quite honest. If we think they're comparable players talent-wise, they're different players, Johnston and Addison, but comparable. One has Justin Herbert throwing to him, and one's going to have a rookie quarterback. Like, let's be realistic about what that means going in.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. I think that the wide receiver 1 race has much more to do with landing spot than the RB1 race, in my mind.
You've got Jacksonville. I see this pick, and I smile because I'm like, this is just so good for Trevor Lawrence. At 20, you haven't selected Michael Mayer. And there's been some conversation. We've had some talks about Mayer not having the athleticism of a Kyle Pitts. Mayer, say what you want. He's the best tight end in this class. Let's not overthink it. Michael Mayer is pro-ready. My only question here is, do you think Evan Ingram has shown enough, especially as of late, to just retain that job for Jacksonville to say, you know what? We're going to roll with Evan Ingram again, or like if they extend Ingram, I can't see them making this selection.
Agreed.
So let's I want you to answer it 2 ways. One, do you think they can extend Ingram? And if not, Michael Mayer. I mean, this guy's plug and play from day one, right?
Yeah. So for your first question, I think they would like to try to extend Evan Ingram. The question is, if you're Evan Ingram, this was perfect for you. You had a lot of struggles in New York. You had struggles with drops. You flashed, but the narrative when you left the Giants was not a positive one. You signed a 1-year deal in Jacksonville, and right now, especially as we're recording this in the midst of him having this month-long breakout, you're having the best year of your career in terms of popularity and in terms of this little stretch here. I think he's going to go cash in somewhere. And I'm not sure if I'm the Jaguars, given all the money I spent last offseason, I'm going to have Calvin Ridley coming in. I'm not sure I'm going to pay Evan Ingram $14, $15 million a year to come in and play tight end and stay there. So, but they still need to replace that position as a key piece in Doug Peterson's offense. And it's been a key piece for Trevor Lawrence. And, you know, while I think Michael Mayer, from an athleticism standpoint, doesn't blow you away like Kyle Pitts, he does a lot of little things well. He does all the little stuff well while being a strong receiver. He's not going to run away from anybody. I know he's been comped to like Jason Witten, you know, here at TDN. Jason Witten's going to the Hall of Fame. I'm not saying Michael Mayer's going to the Hall of Fame, but what I'm saying is he can be one of the top tight ends in the league without being Kyle Pitts. It's a great fit for Trevor Lawrence. And again, if you're Jacksonville, the biggest thing you need to do is continue to build around Trevor Lawrence. Now, if you retain Evan Ingram or you bring in another tight end that you like, probably look at offensive line here. Maybe you add some pieces on defense. But if Michael Mayer's on the board and you haven't signed a tight end and you're looking at going in the season with like Dan Arnold and company, I'm absolutely grabbing Michael Mayer here, knowing he's going to be a year one contributor for a team, quite frankly, now that has to be looked at as playoff contenders and division contenders. I don't know when the Titans are going to come back up. They could this year, but we don't love their long-term future. Houston's a ways away. Who the heck knows with the Colts? Jaguars now have to operate as if they are a division contender with a young ascending quarterback, which means doing everything you can to make sure his life is easy as possible.
Well, let's talk about another young quarterback. And I cannot tell you all out there, if you're watching this video, this conversation that we're about to have is about to be just a snippet of what you get in our premium Discord. Please, you do not want to miss Overreaction Mondays. But we spent the better part of 45 minutes debating about the New York Giants and their quarterback position. We're not going to get into all of that now. I'm telling you, join the premium Discord service. But you've got the Giants at 23 selecting Anthony Richardson, quarterback out of Florida, going to be one of the more polarizing prospects in this class. Jamie, I'm going to ask you, because you didn't give your opinion. Do they retain Daniel Jones and roll with the what does this pick? What was your thought process behind, and let me just leave it open to you. What was your thought process here with Anthony Richardson to the Giants at 23?
So my thought when I made this pick is that Daniel Jones has already signed a 2-year extension with New York, that they retain him on a short-term deal. You could talk whether you want to call it the Mitchell Trubisky deal, the Teddy Bridgewater deal, whatever type of there. I think he has earned the right this year to be that bridge option for them. But he's also to this point where he's not good enough to be their 5 to 10 year answer. And I think both can be true. I look at this situation a little bit like I looked at the Patriots when they took Mac Jones, where obviously it's about 8 or 9 spots later in the draft. I don't think the Giants are going to be compelled to give up assets to move up. But if one of those top 4 quarterbacks falls in their lap where they're going to end up picking in the 20s, I think they'll be very tempted to take one. And in this case, you could take Anthony Richardson. You're not going to start him in year one. There's always going to be pressure to start any rookie quarterback, particularly in New York, but you don't start him year one. Maybe Brian Daboll's intrigued by the traits. We saw what he was able to do with Josh Allen. Again, that is still an outlier case. That I'm not comparing anybody to Josh Allen or comparing anybody's glow up to Josh Allen. But if he likes the traits and has the ability to sit him behind Daniel Jones for a year or two with some more, while they gain some more weapons in that offense, they continue to get a little bit more veteran laden on defense to go with some of their young stars. This could be a good spot for Richardson to sit and develop and potentially be the long-term future for New York while Daniel Jones is still playing well. I don't think if they don't have Daniel Jones and they don't have a quarterback for some reason going into this, I don't think they're taking Anthony Richardson to start in 2023. And I think that would be a mistake for anybody. But if he falls in their lap like he does here, I think it's at least going to be a discussion for New York, especially if they maintain Daniel Jones for a little bit longer. But I think Jones has earned the right to have a little bit of a bridge contract while New York can still look ahead for that QB of the future.
Anthony Richardson lands with Brian Daboll, this Giants team. And I don't know who we have for the Giants picking in the second round, but I'm going to assume they get some weapons around him. How high do you think he can go in rookie drafts? If these are the landing spots with Daboll and what he's done with Daniel Jones, it's if you take him high, what I'm telling fantasy gamers is you park him on taxi and you forget about him. You invest. You know that year one's probably not going to happen, but how high do you think he could potentially go with this landing spot? Because I think it's pretty damn high.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to start considering him really as early as pick 2 or 3.
2 or 3, yep.
And I really think you do. Like, I'm not taking him over Bijan, but look, it's a lottery ticket. But sometimes you have to, if you want to win a championship in Dynasty, you're going to have to take some lottery tickets. And, same way, again, I hate doing this comparison because they're different players, but like Josh Allen was a lottery ticket. If you think back to the way we talked about it, I did a show with Kyle and Joe. I was behind the scenes when they drafted Josh Allen, and Joe was just upset all day. They're going to take Josh Allen. They're going to take Josh Allen because we saw some of the struggles that he had in college. He was an inaccurate quarterback with an elongated throwing motion, but had all the tools in the world. Anthony Richardson is far, far, far from a finished product, but he's got enough pieces and enough tools in the toolbox that says a few years down the road, if all goes well, we're talking about an elite level fantasy producer at the quarterback position. And I am willing to take that risk, particularly if I'm a bad team. If I'm picking that high because my team isn't good or I had guys retire and I'm looking for the long term, I want a potential somebody that can push me into playoffs or even a championship down the road. And he's going to give you that opportunity. If you miss out on Bijan, maybe miss out on one of the other quarterbacks or Jordan Addison or whoever you might want at that 1-2 spot. I think that's where you start to look at him and say, if it all comes together with that coaching staff and a weapons unit that's going to get better, like it can't possibly get worse, it becomes really intriguing to me really high in the first round of Dynasty drafts.
Jamie, we're talking fantasy football here, right? And I'm just telling you right now, he goes to the Giants at 23, and I just think he's going to go higher than this. I think when it's all said and done, after he tests and does all that, I'm taking him over any of the other quarterbacks. And I'm not saying that he's a better right now. I've seen quarterbacks thrive that don't go out there and throw for 4,000 yards in fantasy. It happens every year. He goes to the Giants. I would be, if I only had one shot, and I don't think you have to take him at 102 or 103, but if I only got one pick, and it's the 102, I'm taking Anthony Richardson. I think that's fair. Another receiver in the second round. As deep as this running back class is, I'll be fine with Chase Brown in round 2. Give me Zach Charbonnet in round 2. Kendre Miller if he declares. I can't find what he could become. I can't find Anthony Richardson. It ain't Jake Hayner. It's not any of these other random quarterbacks, right? Jordan Addison, we kind of talked about him already. You have him 24 overall to the Chargers. I think if this happens, he's a good enough quality receiver. He'll be valued as the wide receiver 1. I just think that's what would happen, right? I think he would be valued as wide receiver 1.
Yeah, and I think that'd be fair. Provides a different element to the Chargers offense than the guys they currently have. And quite frankly, when's the last time Keenan Allen and Mike Williams played together for a full healthy season? It doesn't happen. So you stick the opportunity, elite quarterback play on a team that's going to have to throw the ball. I love this fit for him if he falls. I know the Chargers have some other issues that they want to fix, but I think putting enough talent in quite frankly, you have to keep up with Buffalo and Kansas City's offense if you're the Chargers. And this is one way you can continue to do that.
Baltimore at 25. The forgotten one, Jackson Smith and Jigba. I understand his limitations. He's not a blazer. He only plays in the slot. He's a good player. He's a good player. And I think to a certain degree, the fantasy community, we're overthinking this one just a tad bit. There's data out there that 40-yard dash time is not indicative of fantasy success at the wide receiver position. It's just not. Baltimore here at 25. I think they've got a lot of questions about what they're going to do at quarterback, but there's no doubt in my mind, assuming Lamar Jackson is there, he needs help. I believe, Jamie, don't quote me on this. DeMarcus Robinson caught a touchdown pass this past Sunday. Before that, I don't believe a Ravens wide receiver had caught a touchdown pass since like week 4.
Yeah, it was like week 3 or 4. It was ridiculous.
They need body. They need help on the outside.
They need help, and they need help that more than just Rashad Bateman, who will come back healthy next year. And I think this is a great Ravens pick, as I kind of put in the little write-up, where they always kind of sit back, and for one reason or another, whether it's an injury, whether it's just a guy falls in the draft, they just kind of sit back where they are, wait, and somebody falls to them. And look, JSN did not have the season that anybody would have imagined. But let's also not pretend like he wasn't the best receiver on Ohio State's roster last year, with some damn good players on that team, and Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave, and even Marvin Harrison Jr. So he was the best out of that group. He's had some injuries this year, but they need more guys, and they need more guys that can also win in the middle of the field. Now, this was assuming they find a way, whether it's a franchise tag, an extension, whatever, to bring back Lamar Jackson. He's not a burner, but Lamar's not going to go down the field a ton if he doesn't have to. He can. He did it with Hollywood Brown for a few years, and Hollywood Brown, while he was there, dropped half of those passes. But I think he wants a guy that's going to be able to give him an opportunity to win quickly in the middle of the field. And Bateman wins in the middle of the field. Mark Andrews wins in the middle of the field. And JSN can win in the middle of the field out of the slot for him. I just think they need some options to diversify this offense. And you can find a speed guy to take a couple attempts to real cheap in free agency. Go sign Nelson Aguilar. Go sign somebody else like that.
DJ Chark. Go get
DJ Chark.
Yeah.
You can go find that guy to be your wide receiver 4. You take 3 or 4 shots to open up the defense, and Lamar can hit those throws. Where you want him to win is the strong running game and the ability to work off that RPO and win quickly off the line of scrimmage. And JSN can do that. I think this would be a really good spot for him. And again, not somebody you're taking as one of your top wide receivers, but in a wide receiver 3 or a flex spot, I think he would get some volume. You should be, quite frankly, you should be more excited about the JSN to Baltimore pick if this happens than you were a couple years ago with the Bateman to Baltimore pick. Because as good as Bateman was, JSN's a better receiver.
Agreed. All right. I do this on every mock to mock, and I'm not going to say the name, but my Dallas Cowboys pick, I just want to tell you I'm very happy about this. If this selection comes to fruition, I will buy a jersey immediately. Unfortunately, he would have to change his number because we already have a number 11 on our team. If you want to know the pick, link is in the description. Go read the entire mock, but I love it, and I 100% agree. Steal the draft if this player falls to the Dallas Cowboys. Let's finish it up. Talk Rashee Rice, who you have going to the Buffalo Bills at 31. Stephon Diggs, we continue to talk about these teams adding another legitimate wide receiver weapon opposite of an alpha. Stephon Diggs is the alpha. Dawson Knox has already been paid. I think they found a really good running back in James Cook. We'll see what happens with Devin Singletary. A lot of people don't know Rashee Rice in the name, but I think he's going to be a riser through this pre-draft and draft process. Just talk about the fit really quickly with Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, because Rashee Rice can do a little bit of everything. He can play outside, he can play in the slot, he can play physical, can be a possession receiver. He can do a little bit of everything for you. And look, we all expected, especially us in the fantasy community, we expected the Gabe Davis breakout season to happen. It did not. And I think it's a little telling from the people that are close to Buffalo about their willingness to upgrade that position over him. I like Isaiah McKenzie, but he is a complementary piece. Khalil Shakir is a ways away from making any sort of impact. Again, we talked about a little bit with the Chargers pick, keeping up with the top offenses in the AFC. Buffalo needs to do that as well. And, I considered interior offensive line. I considered safety there. Both could be potential needs depending on how their free agency and their own guys go or whether they resign. but I think Josh Allen needs another receiving weapon that he can trust, and Rashee Rice is going to be a major riser to the draft process. I think people don't get to see a lot of SMU. They didn't get a chance to see a lot of him this year. When he gets the opportunity to go to the All-Star games, to go to the Combine, I think he's going to be a major riser, and people are going to be clamoring for their team to grab him at the back end of round 1. And where Buffalo we think they're going to be, they're not going to have the opportunity in round 2. And for those of you that happen to join us on our TDN Premium Overreaction Monday, we broke down the wide receiver class that's available in free agency. It ain't great.
No, it isn't.
So this is going to be potentially Buffalo's best option to maybe use Gabe Davis as more of his intended role as a potential big play guy, but find that true number 2 where if team's going to double Stephon Diggs, Josh Allen has a clear go-to option that they can move all around the offense in Rashee Rice.
All right, Jamie. This was a fantastic mock done by our staff writers. This was fun. I encourage everybody out there to check out the entire mock. The link is in the description. But before I get you out of here, I just want to play a game. I was going to do it with quarterbacks, but I'll make it a little easy for you, and we'll look at running backs. So I'm looking at the Dynasty running backs right now, looking at Keep Trade Cut because it's just a community consensus. This is what people are saying immediately. I'm going to give you the top 10 Dynasty running backs right now, okay, in order. Breece Hall, Jonathan Taylor, Kenneth Walker, Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley are your top 5. Travis Etienne, Josh Jacobs, Austin Eckler, Javonte Williams, and Ramondre Stevenson round out the top 10. Bijan's going to get first-round draft capital, we believe. He lands with the Raiders. Where does he rank amongst these Dynasty running backs?
Boy, I mean, I probably put him 5. I probably put him above Saquon on that list. Just given the age, given the skill set, given the amount of time you're going to get, I think some of those other guys are either coming off injuries. I would like, again, Saquon's great, but where's he going to play next year? Is he going to stay healthy? Where's Josh Jacobs going to play next year? Javonte Williams coming off a major knee injury. I like Ramondre Stevenson, but I think he is at his upside right now, which is damn good, by the way. There's nothing wrong with it, but I don't think there's room for him to continue to ascend beyond where he is.
For me, Jamie, going into year, he's a guy that if people are valuing Ramondre as RB10 right now, this is one that I would probably try to cash out on in the offseason. Yeah,
I think this is as high as he's going to be. And again, I don't see any reason why he can't maybe replicate this, but this is his upside. And I think it's more likely he's going to be a guy that you like as a high-end to mid RB2 in the long term. Again, if somebody's going to give you RB1 value, I agree with you. But I think Bijan comes right in and makes that top 5 for me. And I think depending on his landing spot, if like Jahmyr Gibbs goes to the Eagles, I think he could sneak into that top 10 right away as well.
Agreed. All right, I got you here. Damn it, I just
just go for hit me with it.
Looking at the Dynasty QB landscape, Jamie.
Yeah.
And after Trevor Lawrence is QB8, Tua's QB9, Kyler Murray QB10, then it's Dak Prescott, Deshaun Watson, Trey Lance, and Kenny Pickett at QB14.
I don't feel great about 12 and beyond, to be perfectly honest with you.
Jamie, I challenge to say that I think Bryce, Stroud, Anthony Richardson, and the Giants, you're probably looking at anywhere from QB 13 to, it's Pickett, Cousins, Goff, Daniel Jones, Geno Smith, Mac Jones at QB 19.
Yeah,
I think all of those quarterbacks, I'm taking them over Mac Jones. I'm taking them over Kenny Pickett.
Yes.
What is Trey Lance? What is Trey Lance?
I'm going to take all these guys over Trey Lance right now. And again, that could be foolish, but I have way too many concerns about Trey Lance's not only path back from injury, but path to playing time. And is it even going to be in San Francisco? Given the way Brock Purdy's played, the flirting they've done with Tom Brady, when are we talking? Are we talking Trey Lance 2024 before he starts to put at least if CJ goes 1, like we talked about, and Bryce goes to the Seahawks, and Levis goes to Carolina, they're gonna play.
Yes,
I don't know when Trey Lance is gonna play. And and Kenny Pickett, I think, is going to be better than what he has shown from a real life football standpoint recently, but he doesn't have the upside of any of these guys.
No, he doesn't. Not scoring us fantasy points. No,
he is a mid-level flex. That's what he's going to be for you. So him being 13 or 14 is I think is crazy, even with the quarterbacks aging out. Because to me, you can find those guys. If you're looking for mid-level flex upside, you can find those guys in any rookie draft.
Jamie, I think we're gonna have to do some more fantasy stuff, man. This is a conversation a little deeper than the mock to mock. You got a little bonus content on this mock to mock, but once again, the entire link to the Staff Writers mock is in the description. If you want to participate in these Overreaction Monday shows, in the film sessions, join the premium Discord. The link is in the description. We are just getting started as we enter into what we do best, which is the NFL draft. Make sure you follow Jamie on Twitter. It's very simple. It's his name, Jaime Eisner, but it's Jaime Eisner. Make sure you follow him on Twitter. He's dropping all kinds of good gems and nuggets. Follow all of our content. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, turn on the alerts. That way, every time we drop content on the YouTube channel, you don't have to search for it. Pops right up on your phone. You get it. Comment below. Let us know what you think about this mock, the landing spots and the fits. For Ray Garvin, for Jaime Eisner and the Draft Network, we are out. Peace out.